Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Friday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, as always, joined by Joel Elconin and Dennis Dick on our show today. One of the pot stocks got Citron yesterday. We thought it might happen. It did. Andrew F. came out negative on Kronos. We're going to talk about that. We have earnings. LULU had the best quarter in the history of quarters. So we're going to talk about that. ULTA had earnings and Barella had earnings. Big Lots. So we'll run through all of those. We're going to run through Coca-Cola making a big acquisition this morning in the coffee space, and take your questions from our chat. It is the end of the month, so we're going to get some end of the month window dressing. Buy them up, sell them down. Today we'll talk about that. And Joel, what is happening this morning in the overnight session?
We are in the red here, Spence, just by a little, 5 3/4 points. Your pre-market high, 29.04. That was just over the close at 29.02. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. The battle for 2,900 resumes. We have crude trading in the red just by a couple pennies here. We were in the red by more, but we just caught a nice bid. I'm not sure if we had some news associated with that. Yesterday's high in crude, 70.50. We'll keep an eye on the target on the upside. Gold in the green by 520 at 12.10.20. Also silver in the green as well at 14.65. That's up 6 cents. And Bitcoin kind of quiet this morning. It's up $115. Talking about the futures here, but below the psychological level of 7,000. The SIBO futures trading at 69.55. Triple D, you have some exotic spreads on this morning, huh?
I got to get down and dirty in the pot stocks there a little bit there. So yes, I'm trading. I have it's all paired up though. So I'm doing MJ against CGC against CRON. So all kinds of fun stuff going on here overnight. Actually up on almost all sides of it though. So it's so I'm gonna try to work out of it here somehow here, maybe pre-market, maybe at the open there. But basically CRON and CGC were just tanking last night. MJ wasn't, so I decided to try to take advantage of that.
So you looked at your spreadsheet. You looked at your spreadsheet.
These don't move perfectly. I'll tell you that though. There's going to be some slippage, and they're not perfect. So it's not like trading your VIA versus your VIAB. This is a little more exotic there. So got to expect some slippage, and got to expect not exactly to grab everything you think you're going to grab out of it.
Well, it's funny because sometimes when Dennis says he has these spreads on, it's like, okay, were you like stuck on something and you were looking to plan?
That's not that's the way they taught the pairs trade. If you get down in a position, take the opposite or take, a similar stock, and then you don't have to lose on that position. I eat losers all the time. So I'm not one of those that'll put on a pair. I actually put it on more intentionally here. Because I want to stay hedged overnight. Most of my trades that I'm putting on is I don't want the overnight risk. When I'm selling SPY against if I'm long a whole bunch of stocks, I will usually short SPY against it. Why? Because I don't want the overnight risk. So because maybe something happens, maybe Trump tweets, maybe anything, maybe there's some good news or something. And who the hell wants to be short this market overnight? Because 4 out of 5 nights, it seems like we open higher. So anyway, so that's just a little bit of pair trading talk here for you at 8:05 in the morning. But let's go talk. Do you want to start talking about the marijuana stocks right away since we already started talking about them? Or do you want to go to this unbelievable quarter from Lululemon?
Why don't we stay on the same theme here?
Okay, so let's talk. And Kronos will go to CRON, which obviously got Citron hard yesterday. It is bouncing here this morning. CRON, like I said, full disclosure, I do have a long position, but I have it short against other pot stocks there, so it's not like a flat out long. Let's talk here, CRON, what happened with Andrew left. Let's talk the CNBC interview from last night. Spencer, first give us the details. The Andrew left Citron case for CRON.
Well, yeah, he came out and he criticized Kronos for deceiving investors by purposely not disclosing the size of its distribution agreements with provinces, unlike every other major cannabis player. That's a direct quote from his report. For what it's worth, we spoke with Alan Brockstein, who's our pot stock guy here at Benzinga, and while he agreed with Left that the stock is too expensive, in his view there was no deception. The provinces had asked for the amounts to not be disclosed. So in his view, in Brockstein's view, there's no real deception here, but Citron's going after Cronos for not disclosing the value of their contracts, specifically because those in his view, those values do not justify the current valuation.
I mean, valuation call one thing, another thing to, say, wow, this is fraudulent or what they're doing here. And obviously using that word is pretty extreme. He was on CNBC Fast Money. And that's kind of why the host, Dan Nathan, was attacking him, is his loosely use of the word fraud. And he kept going back to, well, even if, it's not fraud, he's still going to look at a valuation issue here. And he's like, it's worth $3.50 and it will trade down to $3.50. I just want to say good digging by Melissa Lee there last night, because I've never seen Andrew Left come out and admit this last night, but she dug at him and she's like, are you still short? He's like, of course I'm short. I'm short, like extremely short. She's like, are you as short today as you were yesterday? Yep. And she's like, and he hesitates for a second. He's like, I did cover some today. So I was looking like, holy cow, here you are issuing this report. And this bearish report, and obviously the stock tanks 30% on it. And now you're telling us you bought into that? So that's kind of like an analyst upgrading the stock and then selling into it. Or it's kind of like me on the show saying, oh, I'm bullish this stock, and then selling it to you. If it's not illegal, it sounds illegal to me. It's dirty as hell. It's one thing to issue a bearish report. It's another thing to actually buy into it. So maybe it's just a small position. Maybe he's still really short, but we've suspected for a long time that he obviously, he sometimes buys into, this influence that he has. It's shady, man. It's shady. And if he's covering into that, I think regulators could have a problem with it.
Okay. It looks like it's on the rebound here, down only 32 cents. I think what's important on a day like this for CRON, after the big up move and then the down move, can it get green on the day? You had an all-time closing high on Wednesday at 1274. Got shellacked, closed at 912. Still a lot of people sitting on a lot of profits, but I don't think that until you can get this thing green on the session, that you're going to get a lot of big buyers in it. But, these stocks, they have their runs. They take the breathers. I missed the CNBC interview, but if you're long CRON, keep an eye on yesterday's closing price of 912.
Just seems dirty as hell to me. So full disclosure, like I'm disclosing here, I will take this pair trade off here this morning. So I'm telling you, I will take it off. It's because I'm long CRON doesn't mean I'm bullish the stock. I'm doing it as a pair trade. It means the relationship relative to some of the other pot stocks here. I like it from that perspective there, but I will be taking this off here either in the pre-market or at the open. So don't be following me on this one. I'm just saying, full disclosure out there, I trade these things, and most of the stuff when I talk, obviously I'm a day trader. I'm usually getting in and out of positions. And if I'm on a swing trade, I usually try to disclose, I'm on a swing trade. Or if it's a long-term investment, I try to disclose that it's a long-term investment. I try to tell you, my time frame on these things to try to, obviously, we want our traders. It's definitely not our, we don't want to influence at all, and I don't think we do. But Andrew Left has so much power. I mean, he's one of the most influential people out there. And when you're buying into your call, man, I mean, you're saying it's going to 350, but now you're telling me you bought some stock at 9. This sounds slimy to me. Okay. But anyways, let's move on. There's other stocks to talk about here. There's Lululemon. Unbelievable. LULU, unbelievable quarter. That's one of the best quarters. Spencer, you said it on the just in the intro to the show. This is one of the best quarters I've ever seen.
It was good. It's an understatement. So the Q2 EPS was 71 cents. 49 cents was the estimate. Sales 723 versus $667 million estimate. So big beats on the Q2 EPS and sales figures. The Q3 EPS guidance coming in higher. 65 to 67 cents is the range they gave. 63 cents was the estimate. Sales guidance coming in higher as well. 720 to 730 million was the range they gave. 707 was the estimate. Fiscal year EPS higher by 20 to 30 cents. 345 to 353 was the range they gave. Sales guidance higher as well. Comps for Q2 were up 20%. Typically single digits, like high
20%.
high single digits.
How do you do that?
Why does everybody want yoga pants all of a sudden?
It's the golden age. I don't know.
What's that? What else do they sell there? It can't just be yoga pants.
Everything.
What?
No, they sell stuff.
Everything. What
Well,
else?
not everything. I mean, they sell
athleisure. It's athleisure.
Well, we know you go to this store all the time. What do they sell in Lululemon?
I don't know one piece of Lululemon thing. I like the little horseshoe. Is it upside
You
down?
don't shop particularly at Lululemon. I've never been in one of the stores. So, but I did walk by one in the mall and it looked really busy.
They wouldn't. You know why you've never been in one?
Why?
They won't let you in one.
Why? I look
You
good in yoga
walk in
pants.
there with your Crocs.
I would look good in yoga pants.
Your animal shirt. They'll be laughing. They'll be like, "Dude, you can't afford to shop here."
Well, that's true, actually. How much are those things? I probably can't afford it. I shop at Big Lots, and I'm not helping their cause, which we'll get to in a second.
Well, can I just give you?
We digressed way too much.
I just want to give you some numbers to reference. So the 20% comps number is obviously huge. Just to reference, L-Brains had comps. This is year-over-year sales growth of 3%. Gap had comps of 2%, Foot Locker 0.5, Hibbett Sports 4. So like high single digits is good. 20%. Burlington was 2.9. Dollar General was 3.7. High single digits is good. 20% is ridiculous.
That's how you do it. That's how you report a quarter. Anyways, I was looking at this and I almost want to say it's a victim of being a bad day right now. It's up 10%. You're like, what are you talking about? It's a victim. I would think it'd be up more. If we were like on a bullish day where everything was getting bought here today, I think it'd be up even more because that quarter is unbelievable. Anyways, no position on Lululemon. I don't know what to say. Stock's been on such a run. Whoever bought it last year down in the 50s and 60s, congratulations. You're being well rewarded for, buying your yoga pants store. I don't know. I'm not trading it probably.
Have you ever done yoga?
Yeah, I did the P90X, and I never get through the whole P90X because I get too exhausted or I throw out my back or something. But
that's not yoga.
Anyways, there's yoga. The one in the P90X, the one video is yoga, and it's an hour and a half. It's the worst one. I mean, I like the weightlifting. I used to do a lot of weightlifting when I was younger. I don't like anything to do with this. Yoga was the hardest thing, man. Like you're holding these poses, downward dog, and all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is hard.
I did it once.
Doesn't sound hard. It's way harder than weightlifting.
I did it once, and it's boring. I mean, how do you win at yoga? Like, how do you win?
That's not.
You don't win.
That's not the point.
Well, you can win at weightlifting. Like, I mean, you lift more weight than the other guy. But you're right. How do you win at yoga? I guess
this is not. You're asking the wrong question. This is not the point.
We want to win. We're in the game.
Yeah, we're just winning. We're in
markets. We're in sports. How do you win at yoga? This is an excellent question.
All right,
Spencer,
real quickly.
Spencer, do you do yoga?
No, but there's
no.
I think Brent does. Maybe we'll get Brent on. The real question here is when the Saints going to stop. I was looking at this right before the 8 o'clock close, and sometimes you look at the pre-market chart and they're like, oh man, there's a seller there. This thing was right up near the high at the 8 o'clock close, and it wasn't backing down. And the follow through has continued. I'll just give you your pre-market high. Use that as a potential target. 153 even was that high. You're only $1.50 away. Not sure what the short interest is in this or not, but 153. If you're asking me for support, I have absolutely no idea. We're not going to fill the gap in this one today.
All right, jump over. Might as well do all the earnings here. Let's go to the one this morning, which I just hit at Big Lots here. I told you I don't really shop at Big Lots anymore because they classed up the stores too much. I liked them when they were junky and I could buy my aspirin container, which was all smashed up, but still had the good aspirin inside it for like 10 cents on the dollar. I don't see that anymore. Stores are too nice, and that's why they've killed their business model, in my opinion. It's a little bit of a joke, but a little bit of the same thing at the same time. This would be this big discount wholesale. I don't see the deals there anymore. Anyways, nobody else sees the deals there anymore either. Even though the stock's down 10%, I don't think it's a deal either. Big Lots, BIG, down 10%. Give us the results, Mr. Israel.
59 cents for 67 cents, so an 8-cent miss there. Sales of $1.22 billion in line with the estimate there, or a slight miss. Q3 sales guidance, 4-cent loss to a 6-cent loss versus a 1-cent gain estimate.
Probably making money now.
No, they guided that they were going to lose money.
They got to go back. Go back. Big Lots management, listen to me. Go back to the way your stores were. Don't class them up. Get them a little dumpier looking and give me a deal. That's what I want to go into Big Lots for. I want to find a deal. I don't want to find classier stuff. So you need to class it down a little bit. Dress down. It's dress down day for you guys. Dress down your stores a little bit. You'll get your shoppers back. That's your problem. You tried to go and compete in this classier, upscale, a little more upscale stores, and you don't have the deals you used to. We're there for the deals.
Well, just you. So they guided comps were going to be up 2 to 4% for the current quarter, and they'll be up 1% for the year. Their fiscal year EPS guidance was also light. So what guidance?
They're still making money though. Overall, Lobster says.
Yes.
Still shooting $4. So they're still making pretty good money.
They guided that they'll make around $4.50 for the year.
Still making money. Okay, so I take back some of it, but anyways, I don't take back all of it. I think that's their problem.
Okay, pre-market low here comes in at 40.60. A couple sticks off that. Let's see what we got at for. Well, you have to go all the way back to. I see 3 lows, 4 lows, 5 lows, 6 lows between 39.99 and 40.71. You stopped in that area in the pre-market, so. I don't think we're going to go back down in there, but I'd be a natural buyer, whatever that means, between 40 and 41 to cover short. I don't know about going long here, but when you have 6 lows in the area like that, also for the shorts out there that caught this thing at 50.35 on Monday, getting a chance to bring this in the lower 40 handle, I think you missed your shot here at the low of the day.
Also reporting earnings was ULTA, ULTA, and stock is off the lows here. Give us results from last night. We have bounced significantly from the lows though.
Q2 EPS $2.46. That's a 5-cent beat on the estimate. Sales $1.48 billion, 1.488, which is in line with the estimate. So mostly in line to good Q2 numbers. Q3 sales guidance coming in slightly higher. And Q3 EPS guidance was lower, $2.11 to $2.16 was the range they gave. $2.31 was the estimate. Comps for the current quarter, their guidance was that they'll be up 7 to 8%.
Stock
so it was mixed.
Traded down into the low. Where do we get yeah, but where did we get down to? We got down pretty low. I saw it like $15 last night.
222.90.
Oh, we were down over 20 points. So buy the dip wins here. Look, buy the dip wins again. Still the best strategy out there, BTFD. Anyways, wow. So we're now only down $6. So we've come back 2/3 of the losses we've gotten back here on ULTA. This beautiful stock or beautiful store is becoming a beautiful stock here once again, as it's only down $6.
Kind of in no man's land here. I gave you the pre-market low. I think the only relevant number that I can give you at this time here at 819 is 238. Since we've made that low at 222.90, something's going on here at 238. I see the high in the last few brackets. 38.20, 38.50, 38 even. So that's the only number. I just want to address one question here from Stock Hunter about question. How do you trade LULU and any all-time stocks? How do you know where the top, the short-term top is? You don't know where the short-term top is. I think the only way that
you don't know anything.
Yeah. The only way that these stocks will top out, and you'll see it during the day, is when the big boys want to get out. I mean, there could see, someone could be sitting on 500,000 shares with a 145 target right now. What are they going to do? Are they going to do 5 and 10,000 shares? So really also you can wait for if they say something negative in a conference call or something like that. But really, until the institutions, really decide, hey, we want out, then you're not going to get a top. I would also, using your pre-market highs, your parameters like that, the longer it takes to get through 153, I see more of the chances of profit taking. But when these stocks are doing it, if you have a target, take a target, because they can go $3-4 above your target. you get up to get a glass of water and it could be below that. So that's really the only advice. Danny, you have any?
I'm trading my CGC, which is now green here now. So I'm trying to work out of my pot spread. So
okay.
No, I wasn't. I'm sorry, Joel. I usually listen to you closely, but the CGC is really working up here.
Good.
Trying to work out of the pot spread.
All right, let me give you a target here.
I did just dump a little bit of my CGC.
I don't think we're gonna get back in the 46 handle. Do you? I mean, 46.12 and 46.
Well, $46 sounds crazy. Yeah. Well, I don't know where that's going. I'm just trading it relative to MJ, relative to CRON. Trade them all, looking at what the AFRI is doing. Did you know Toronto has a pre-market now? I don't know when this happened. Toronto Stock Exchange, you can trade those things pre-market after hours now. For an hour after hours, you can trade Toronto after hours. I did not know that.
When did they start doing that?
I don't know. I logged in because I got access to Toronto quotes. I was like, what is this? There's a market in this thing. And I was like, oh, I can buy it.
You know what?
They actually have a pre-market after hours. I'm not sure the hours of it. I have to do more homework. I just found this out this week because they never did. So I was like, oh, cool.
Oh, the dude is on Squawk Box. Bruce Linton from Canopy Growth. Talking about
how why it's going up.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
Man, we shouldn't be watching our show. We should be going to watching Squawk Box right now. Okay, we're gonna pause our show. I'm gonna watch it because I'm in the stock.
40. Can I just for your longer term investors here? You had a high of 48.19. That was the old time high. You had a low on the break of 43.12. That's a 5-point move. So I think going forward here, the 50% retracement, that would also take you into the 46.
Must be saying some really nice stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Dennis, see if you can get lifted at 46.
I'm working out of it right now here.
What's the best offer?
I'm just trying to work out here right now under the CNBC.
All right, Spencer, do something so he can get out of this.
Yeah, talk something. I'm trying to work out of this.
Well, I was trying to read, because we have the closed captioning on CNBC, so I was trying to read what he was saying and listen to you, and I couldn't, so I'm sorry. But what they're talking about, just the global demand for cannabis, and I don't think anything new is coming out of this, but still, it's bullish commentary nonetheless, as you'd expect from the CEO of a company. Good job, Dennis.
It's moving. I'm trying to work out of it here. So,
all right. Well, we have
live trading on the show is always hard to do.
We have there was one more earnings that I wanted to
Nutanix and TNX.
Oh, and Ambarella. So there was two. So all right, let's do Nutanix and TNX. They reported yesterday after the bell. Q4
I'm out of CRON. Or CGC. I've still got CRON on. I just got out of the CGC. So okay, now I can actually concentrate on the show here.
Okay,
I'm trading with you guys.
I knew it would take you like 3 seconds to get out, but okay, I'm gonna read the Nutanix number. 11-cent loss versus 21-cent loss estimate. Sales 303 versus $300 million. So they beat on the sales and they beat on the EPS. Q1 EPS guidance came in light by 4 to 6 cents. 26 to 28-cent loss is what they guided for the quarter in terms of EPS. Sales guidance for the quarter came in light, 295 to 310 million. That is the sales range for.
Didn't somebody upgrade this? The other day?
The other day. This morning we have a maintaining outperformance.
I remember somebody gave us a price target. They did something. Wasn't that like 2 days ago? Whoever that analyst was. Well, it's come back, I guess, from the lows, so it's not that bad. It's only down 3, but this was down big time last night, Joel. Where was Nutanix last night?
Well, that was just a crazy print that took it down to under $54. 52.80.
Yeah, I tell you. Buy the dip, man. It wins again. Look at these buy the dippers. They just know things.
JP Morgan, Dennis, had upgraded.
Was JP Morgan? Did they upgrade it?
Yeah, to neutral.
Oops. Day too early. Anyways, okay. Well, it's actually come back off the low, so it doesn't look as bad of a call as it did a little while ago. Thoughts on Nutanix?
Thoughts on Nutanix? My level is 57.50. Since you hit that crazy 52 handle, you had a bounce once up to 57.60. You had a little decline, so something's going on there. Someone has an opinion at 57.50. So I don't see any continued upside till you clear that level. Also for the buy the dippers in this one, there's a lot of people that have bought at a lot lower prices than you. It ended July at $48.89, hit $62 yesterday. So, I mean, it even started the year out in the 20s or 30s. So, if you think you're getting a cheap price and buying a dip here, just remember, other people in from much lower levels may be ringing the register and they could care less where you're long at.
Jump over. Last one we didn't talk about is the gun maker AOBC. They reported last night, and it's a beat big time here, getting a nice lift. The old Smith & Wesson, now called American Outdoor Brands, is trading up 22%. We got to have a retailer. Got to have a retailer up 20% every day. Yesterday it ended up being Signet Jewelers, so it was that one. There seems to be one every day. It's either up 20% or down 20%. Actually, yesterday we tried multiples there because ANF at one point in time was almost down 20% as well. I don't know if it ended up down 20%, but it looks like AOBC is going to be our 20% retailer of the day.
Yeah. Up 22% last time I checked this morning. Q1 adjusted EPS 21 cents versus a 12-cent estimate. Sales 138 versus $134 million. So beats on both of the Q1 prints. Q2 adjusted EPS guidance higher as well. 11 to 15 cents was the guidance they gave. 8 cents was the estimate. Sales guidance higher. 150 to 160 million versus a 143 million estimate. Fiscal year EPS guidance higher. Fiscal year sales guidance all higher. Everything is higher. Everything is great for AOBC.
Everything's good for the gun makers here. The big pop. The only thing that's going against it is overhead supply because the stock has been in the gutter for a long time, and I mean a long time. If you go back to 2017, it was $24. Now you get up to 11. It's a nice lift for everybody who bought it yesterday. Everybody who bought it, prior to 2 months ago, there was probably still underwater here. So I will say you do still have an overhead supply issue, even though the stock is on fire, at least this morning.
Yeah, you got a print up here at 1275. Not a lot of volume traded there. Seems to be settling in here at $12 as traders are squaring up their positions here. And when I look at my daily here, I see a 1207 high on July 3rd. We're still below $12. A $2 move in the stock that's been in the gutter. I mean, it holds 12. Yeah, it can keep going and rallying. I just, I like, that's my area. I'll see if sellers come up. Now, I shorted at 12 off the open, but 10, 15 minutes into the bracket, you're not holding that $12. Could see some profit taking. Is it moving the other gun makers?
Yeah, RGR is trading up as well. It was last night. RGR was trading up in the 60. Well, actually, if I just look at 62.50, 63 was trading last night. Is bid 61.80 here this morning, so it is going to trade higher. It's a matter of how much higher. But like I said last night, we actually kissed a little bit of stock up at 63. I'm not sure it's going that far or not, but it might because this is a big move. So it's probably in fair value range around 63. So that's probably where she's going.
Okay. All right. We'll keep an eye on the gun maker. S&Ps. I didn't talk a lot about this on the top of the show, but we're coming up to imbalance time. I just want to say we got a great level on the downside here for all our bulls in the room. We had a low on Tuesday at 94.25. You can pull up your SPY chart, Dennis, to see the according levels. 95.5. That was Thursday's low, so we got within $1.25 of that. And now we're holding 95.5 in the pre-market. So, potential triple bottom for this bull run to continue. That's my focus this morning. My focus on the upside will be the close 29.02 and up to that pre-market high 29.04. So you got to remember it's the end of the month. Holiday weekend. Well, at least for us on this side of the border, it's a holiday.
Labor Day in Canada too. You don't get all the holidays by yourself.
Did you guys do you spell that with a U, like LABOUR?
We spelled it correctly with the U.
Okay.
The British way. We're still got the British in us there. So let's go look at imbalances here. Alibaba, Chinese stocks down a little bit here this morning. Alibaba 72,000 to sell. That stands out. Bank of America 221,000 to sell. That stands out too. Full disclosure, I do have a day trading position on in Bank America. GE, eternal sell imbalance 212,000 to sell. I don't remember the last day I saw a buy imbalance in GE at the open. Anyways, we know sometimes it claws its way back, but it seems like every day it opens down. I thought that might like get into 13, but it just kind of looked like it was revving up and everything. But then
And then I just looked at the monthly chart and I'm like, no, it's not going through 13. So, yep, GE here. I don't know. Same old when we talk about General Electric.
Oh, okay. Let's go Chipotle here. CMG. It is trading down $6 here in the pre-market. Your catalyst is Ackman. Spencer, details.
Bill Ackman, in an amended 13D, showed that he reduced his stake in Chipotle from 2.88 million shares at the end of last quarter to 2.059 million shares, or a 7.4% stake is what he has now.
How much was it before?
2.88 million to 2.059.
So he sold about
800,000
position.
Yeah.
You know what? The poor guy, man's had a real struggle here. He wants to take some winners. That's what he's done here. I got up in a trade, made a good call for once. I mean, there's been a lot of calls he hasn't been too hot on, so he's taking a winner. That's what I think here.
I agree. I mean, this thing got over 500. You thought that 500 might hold. You definitely took some heat as it rallied up to 530.66. But you know who was the axe in this? Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley, when really knocked this thing off its keister. It had that 520.71 close on Friday, and I think Morgan came out on Monday and changed their rating, and that hit it. It lost the $500 level, traded down another $6.
It looks broken to me. Does it not look broken on this chart? You got to get bullish again. You got to back up over 500. I think the bears are in control if we stay down below 500. That's obviously out of play for today. It looks like it's going to be weak. I don't know how much they sold off on Ackman selling, a quarter of his position, but it's down $6 here on it. So it's market speaking a little bit here on that.
477.94. That was your August 8th low. Your low prior to that was 471. So little $8, $7 gap there, and another $9 gap to your low at 461.81. So getting kind of thin on the support here. CMG lost that $500 level.
Jump to ratings is nothing. A lot of Dollar Tree downgrade. Let's talk Dollar Tree here. I still have a position on in DLTR, but holy cow, this thing a wild yesterday. It is trying to bounce off the level there that it got bottom in June. It got down to 80.01. Low yesterday, closing right at it, 79.77, 79.78. We had a late date downgrade from JP Morgan with about 5 minutes to go. It probably was a catalyst to really knock it down to the low of the day. But I mean, holy cow, this thing absolutely annihilated. And if you're pair trading these, holy cow, annihilated as well, because Dollar General hardly went down. DLTR assassinated.
If you shorted the open, you took about 80 cents worth of heat, 89.60. You popped to 90.38. Had you waited to short it till it went back down through the open, you were doing pretty good, because it just went straight down. Huge volume day. 4 million on Wednesday, 25.5 million on Thursday. Boy, oh boy, where are we looking at here? 79.66. That was your low in September of last year. You're trading up a little bit in the pre-market. Maybe you'll get that washout low, but important that you don't take out that 79.77 today.
Other ratings, was there anything, Spencer? Because I was like reaching, these analysts are all on holidays right now. We're going to see I anticipate almost 0 ratings tomorrow with,
tomorrow.
Well, actually, that wouldn't make any sense with Friday. I meant with Tuesday, we're going to have a lot because they're all the holiday, but they're all going to come out. Actually, no, Tuesday we will, because we come back Monday getting ready to issue those reports. But there's probably going to be nothing tonight on ratings. They're fully on holidays here now. I honestly only saw like 4 research reports. Was there anything else?
There's a lot of maintaining and just changing your price target. I didn't see a single upgrade today. And then downgrades were just Dollar Tree, and I saw one for Goodyear caught a downgrade from Berenberg to hold. Tech Data, who had earnings, they got a double downgrade from Bank of America from buy to underperform. So skip right over neutral. But that's it.
What's the symbol on Tech Data?
TECD.
TECD. Well, let's go talk that one. It's the only other ratings to talk about here. So
right.
double downgrade.
I think they
but it got annihilated yesterday too. I didn't even look at that. So, wow, that looks like the Dollar Tree
They
chart.
had earnings yesterday.
Looks like the Dollar Tree chart, Joel. Here again.
Yeah. So you want and their
earnings.
Yeah, but
the earnings were bad. The earnings were bad though. They missed on the EPS.
They look like they weren't good.
They missed on the
got
EPS.
down to $73 yesterday. So wow.
Yeah, the Q3 guidance, EPS was light, sales guidance was light. Yeah, not great.
Yeah, 73. You're bouncing a little bit. You close quite a bit off the low, so you might get some backing and filling here. Ahead of that low. 73, even as I mentioned, man, we have not been lower than that since September 30th of 2016. You had a 67 low. I don't know. It's kind of the way it bounced off the low makes me think you find some buyers on a pullback. Steve Roberts in the Google chat is asking about CenturyLink, CTL.
Been a while since we
talked about it. Boy. Man, it's up 11 cents. I mean, what did they have? Earnings a couple days ago when they peaked at $24 or 24 and change, 24.
That thing was on an incredible run. I mean, it went from 19, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like 9 days in a row was up from basically 19.5 up to 24. And now it's been leaking here. Remember that Exxon Mobil, I don't know, a couple of years ago when it went up for 21 out of 22 days in a row. And then the next 20 days, it was down like 19 out of 20 and it gave it all back. I was like, I've never seen that before. Anyways, this is starting to look the same as that. Straight up for 9 days. Now you're starting to get weakness here and not looking great. I mean, if you're jumping into here now, you're trying to catch a
Where's your out? Yeah.
Where's your out? I mean, it's down at like 19. So you're in the middle of nowhere here. You know, you maybe do a 50% retracement of the recent move if you're really reaching, if you're really inching to buy it. But I would like to wait for it to stop going down before I start buying this thing, because this chart is not pretty here, at least right now. So that's what I look at on this. Wait for it to stop going down. Maybe, you know, that helps.
Yeah, the $21 area, that would be the 50% retracement from that low that you had back 18.5 or so. So that take you to 21. Another couple big down days and only 11-cent bounce here. So that's not working in its favor. Just take a look at your daily lows for potential support point, and your next daily low doesn't come into 2081, and you got a gap to fill there as well. That might have been from earnings.
I'm also saying just recently went ex-dividend, so I have a little bit of that in there too. I think he's saying it's 54 cents.
Okay.
So a little bit of that in there too when it goes ex-dividend, so that can have an impact. Speaking of ex-dividend dates, there's a few stocks that are ex-dividend here today. McDonald's is ex-dividend, Kellogg's, Lockheed Martin. So obviously make sure your adjusted close you're going with their LMT close at 321.85. Adjusted close is 319.85 because it paid a $2 dividend. So also Nordstrom 37 cents, Suncor 28 cents. You know, it's important to watch these days.
Dennis, could you go a little bit more into that? We haven't done much on the educational segment lately, and I don't know. I mean, we use the term adjusted close, very often. We have been talking about dividend stocks, but could you just explain that real quickly to our viewing audience?
I mean, okay, so if you have Lockheed Martin, for instance, it is ex-dividend here today. It means if you owned it as of 12 a.m. here this morning, you were getting the dividend. It means if you bought it yesterday, you were not getting, or if you bought it yesterday and held it overnight, you were getting the dividend. If you buy it this morning, you are not getting the dividend here now. So they adjust the close. So the exchange actually adjusts the closing price to adjust for the dividend. Lockheed Martin was paying a $2 dividend. It closed yesterday at 321.85. Exchange adjusts the price, the closing price, down to 319.85 to reflect the fact that you're no longer getting the $2 dividend. So what we often see, there's a lot of strategies around dividend dates. The biggest thing is when you look at the AT&Ts and the Verizons world, the bigger ones that have, a huge percentage of, and a huge amount of their investors are all about the dividend. You often see the stock run up ahead of the ex-dividend date and then sell off after the ex-dividend date. So the alpha extraction would just be to own them ahead of it, hold through, and then try to get out, and or hold out. Maybe you sell it, maybe even before it, but trying to extract that pre-dividend run. It's kind of like an earnings event. on some of these big things. Sometimes you see the big run up before the event, and then on the event, it's an unknown with earnings. On this, it's going down the next day. It's a matter of, is it going to go down by the whole amount of the dividend? Is it going to go down by more than the dividend, or is it going to go down by less than the dividend? The dividend capture strategy is you buy the stock, and I do this a lot. You buy it, hold it overnight, get the dividend. Now try to escape. If you're getting a 50-cent dividend, try to escape with only a 40-cent loss. You bank 10 cents. Now, as a prop trader, that there's no tax consequences with any of that, because I'm 100% taxed on everything that I do, on everything that goes into my account. So if I get a 50-cent dividend, it's 100% taxed. If I get a 40-cent loss, there's no capital losses, nothing like that. It's 100% loss. So it's easy to do in a prop account. In a retail account, you got to consider the tax consequences of dividend capture. So if you're going to get a dividend capture and you're going to pay, now you got to pay on the income on the dividend, but you're going to take a loss here. Are you deducting all the loss? Are you in Canada? Because in Canada, capital losses, short-term capital losses are treated differently than the US. Lots of considerations. So for me as a prop trader, I don't have to consider any of that because I'm all 100% taxed. So I can actively pursue dividend capture strategies, which I do. I did it overnight with McDonald's even. So for example, I bought McDonald's, held it overnight to capture the dividend, and I will try to squeak out here. So I got $1 dividend from McDonald's, $1.01. So basically I'm paid $1.01. So if I can escape buying the close of 162.80 on McDonald's, if I can escape with anything better than 161.79, I'll make money on the trade. That's dividend capture.
And if you sell it in the pre-market, Jazz is asking, you still get the dividend.
Yeah. You just have to be overnight. So this is the confusing thing. Like, they talk about going to 24-hour trading. So like at 12:01, they got adjusted that quickly. Like, it's easy when you have that close because now you reopen the stock. But if you go to 24-hour trading on the stocks, how do you figure out, like, for the dividends and stuff? I mean, how's that work? So like, are they going to instantly adjust? Or are they going to just be like at 11:59.59? Okay, McDonald's price is 762.80, and boom, we're down to 161.80 on the close. So people are all sitting there trying to, okay, there's somebody bidding here at 162. I got to wait till 12:01 to hit them. I mean, it's going to be confusing if they ever go out over to 24-hour trading.
That's a good point.
Yeah, the dividend, the ex-dividend stuff, and and obviously it's not just dividends, there's splits, there's all kinds of other things to consider. When you have that physical close and then go back, it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm not sure how they work that. I'm not sure how they work that out. But anyways, that's just my thinking outside the box. We're not at 24-hour trading here yet. At least, we're not on the major exchanges, so you don't have to worry about that. But think about that stuff. If exchanges, if you're listening to us, you got to think about all those things before you go to 24-hour trading.
Hey, Dennis, I think we have a new listener in here, Gone Fishing, and he says, "Apologize for my ignorance. What is prop trading?"
Prop trading, proprietary trading. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't explain. So Bright Trading, the banner behind me, we're a prop firm. So we are trading firm money, firm capital. So as a prop trader, we are not trading our own money. We're trading firm capital. Now, often they have, you bring in your own money into the firm to contribute to become a Class B member, and then they give you access to their capital. So, and that's kind of how it works. It's giving you access to capital, because I've always said this, it's very difficult for a retail trader, let's say they have like $50,000. If they're going to try to make a living off of $50,000, it's very difficult to do, because let's say, you produce 20% on your money over the year. Well, okay, 20% on 50 grand, that's $10,000. You're not going to live on $10,000. How do you do? Okay, let's say you have 2-to-1 margin in your account. So you have a $50,000 account. Even if you make 20% on all that, you're still only making $20,000. With prop, you come in with $50,000. Now you have access to firm money. It could be in the hundreds of thousands and up to even in the millions, depending on your prop firm. And all of a sudden, you can do something with that. So for me, I don't have to, concern myself with I don't have enough money to do that strategy, because at a certain point in time, there's still risk control and they're not going to let you go crazy, but you have access to capital. That's the big thing with proprietary trading, and Bright Trading provides capital to traders. There's a pitch for our firm. Rob Friesen will be really happy that I did that. But if you have a smaller account, you can't make a living off it. Very hard to make a living if you have anything. If you're independently wealthy, you probably don't need a prop firm. But if you're not independently wealthy, or if you don't want to run your own investment portfolio like I do and keep my wealth separate than my trading, I've been with Bright 19 years, and there's a lot of prop firms out there. T3 is another one, great one out there too. So I won't even just pitch Bright, but I've been with Bright 19 years, and I like them. I know my money's safe. And I obviously can do a lot of the strategies I don't want to do. I can do a lot of pair trading. I can employ, huge amounts of capital into a strategy and not worry that I'm going to, run into margin problems.
Okay, I just took my dog out for a walk. I'm back, and
it wasn't that long. I thought it'd be fast.
No, I only went around the little block. I didn't go around
Joel,
the
this
big
is where
block.
I met Joel. Was there our story? So
All right.
me and Joel met at Bright Trading office in Detroit, 1999. He was my trading supervisor at Bright Trading.
And that was not an easy job. I won't go into any of this
He had
stuff.
to yell at me. I was a little punk coming out of university, and I cussed too much.
Okay.
Still do.
Only when those hundred.
Yeah, I've only let one swear word drop on the show in 5 years.
I know, and I haven't had any yet. I just wanted to say one thing about that dividend strategy. It's also a way for institutions to park money. I mean, with the way rates are in the bank and everything, it's just Dennis is doing it on smaller size, but there's institutions are moving their money around. It's a very in-depth strategy. When I traded, for Oldie Market Maker, I mean, it was a commission-free trading. They would come into these stocks, low ball bids, a week, 7, 10 days, ahead of it and do it. So it's a popular strategy, and just keep an eye on it. 846, the spoos are just hanging out here, Dennis. What do you think?
I mean, we never talked the reason for the weakness. It was the Bloomberg interview with Trump. There was a lot of headlines that came out of that. I don't know if you've got them in front of you there, Spencer, but he's basically was talking pretty tough on trade here again. And they're worried that the trade war is heating up here again. And that's why you're seeing a lot of weakness here. Some weakness here in the S&Ps. I mean, weakness always seems to get bought, but you're also seeing weakness in some of the trade war stocks there too. But do you have any of the headlines there from that Trump interview with Bloomberg?
No, the only headline I have really is that there's more tariffs potentially coming as soon as next week.
Getting tougher. It's still, trade war is still fully on here. And obviously we know we've got some issues with trying to deal with Canada too right now. And there's a deadline there. There's lots going on.
There's deal, there's not a deal, there's deal, there's not a deal. I mean, I think with what Nick says, and when you have him on the show, absent the headlines, earnings are good. Rates are still relatively low. It's just when you get these headlines that move the market. All right, we got 13 minutes here to go. Spencer, you want to pull up our list? Is there anything? Coca-Cola. Did we talk Coca-Cola yet?
No,
let's do it.
We didn't talk Coke. Man, this maybe has been the most active month for beverage news that I can remember. So Coke just is agreeing this morning to buy Costa, a British coffee company, for $5.1 billion. So this is the second major Coke headline we've had in the past couple of weeks. We had their acquisition their investment in Body Armor. We had the Pepsi Soda Stream. A lot of stuff happening in beverages.
Coke trading up slightly on this news. I don't think it's a huge acquisition for them. It could be a little bit more defensive too, because we're on a little bit of a risk-off morning here, and Coke tends to get a bit on these types of days. Even if you look at the XLP, well, it's kind of trade. It hasn't traded at all here, so it's hard to derive anything from that. Coke was trading higher on this, got up to 45.30. I think that was overdone. So now it's 45.15, kind of hanging out. I mean, the recent trend, not your friend. It's been in a little ugly, 7-day down move here, or 8-day down move. But overall, it's performed fairly well. Still got the 3.47% dividend. So it's basically more of a defensive yield play. And I don't think this acquisition is really going to move the stock much.
It got a pop, and now it's kind of leaking a little bit. 45.15 filled its earnings gap here. It's back in the earnings gap area. So let's see here. The close yesterday was 44.95. That was right near the low of 45.88, near a whole number. Maybe buyers stepping up at that area again. Right now, you're not even trading above yesterday's highs, which was 45.32, and just a bunch of highs, 45.42, 45.73. So maybe we'll break that string. It's had 3 lower highs, 3 lower lows, and 3 lower closes. So maybe this news will help it break that streak, fill in the gap. Yeah, and Spencer, you mentioned Pepsi did that acquisition. This morning I was looking at Fizz. I mean, that stock's been out there. I don't know if anybody.
Where's that?
116.41. It's not trading.
The spot we looked at last time. It didn't move much.
Yeah.
Although it's had some movement in between. I just remember looking at this like 110 3 months ago. I guess I looked at the top. Now I'm looking at it. It's moved back up.
Okay, Dennis, a question here about implied volatility crush. No super options expert here, but what I think they're referring to is like going into an earnings event or going into announcement or something like that, that just pump up the volatility in these options. If you want to play them through the options market, they just juice up the premium, juice up the premium.
Well, they have to because there's an event. They got to price in that event.
Exactly. And then after the event's over,
premium comes out immediately.
Yeah.
Crushed
Yep.
it.
Yep, they crushed the volatility. So
if that's what the question was referring to. I don't see the question. Where's that coming from?
Because in the YouTube chat.
Oh, it's in the YouTube chat. Okay.
It was from not Larry. Who was it here? I can't remember, but I hope we answered it correctly. Tune in Tuesday morning. Nick Shaheen, he's our options expert. He can definitely talk about that as well. There's another question in the chat here, not from Gone Fishing. From Scooter. I don't know. Scooter, are you new to the chat? Are you new to the show? Explain post-market hours and pre-market hours and their benefits. So, Dennis, we could probably end the show with that.
Well, you can go into this, Joel. You know this part. So, like, we started pre-market prep for the benefits of watching the pre-market action to kind of tell us what was maybe going to happen in the regular session. Just jump into that a little bit. I'll let you go on that one, the pre-market.
It's just, the movement in, we always notice the movement in the S&Ps, and we, Dennis and I always have followed, the bigger stocks in the index. And of course, when the S&Ps move at night, stocks are, they have to play catch up. So, you have the after hours, which continues till 8 o'clock, which is
on the U.S. stocks. Yep.
On the U.S. stock, which is important. Like if you take a Lululemon last night, it just closed near the highs of its after hours sessions and then continued through it. The pre-market starts at 4 a.m. as the stocks begin to adjust from the overnight news and from the movement in the S&Ps. And when you talk about benefits, I mean, if you're new to trading and, it's not something that you should just rush out and do, a lot of times we like to use it as parameters for the upcoming session. So there's some of the do's and don'ts. Dennis likes it. He's more active in it because he's not competing with the high frequency traders. I mean, there's just too much risk.
There is some traders that don't, and I'm not saying there's no high frequency trading in the pre-market because that would be incorrect. There absolutely is, but there's a lot less of high frequency trading action in the pre-market and after hours because the leaning on open indexes there is a little bit harder to do. So, there is more risk. The spreads are wider. The one thing you have is the algorithmic penny jumper drives me nuts. I mean, or the quote matchers, those are tough in the pre-market after hours too. But even if you're newer to trading, I wouldn't suggest jumping in pre-market. Way more risk. It's way more risk in the pre-market after hours because the spreads are really wide and you might get in something like and you might get on the wrong side of the news and there's just no out. Like in some cases, like on smaller stocks, there is no bid sometimes, like not a bid in the pre-market. There's literally zero. The book is empty. So there's really, if you want to sell it, you kind of got to wait till the stock opens the next day. Or you could try to offer it down and maybe somebody lifts you if you really need to get out. But I mean, a lot of times, it's all news interpretation. I'm a news interpretation guy. I like interpreting news. I like to trade news stocks. I like to trade the sympathy plays off news stocks. That's why I'm very active in the pre-market and after hours because that's when that news comes out. Very much so, between 4 and 5 o'clock, you can't even get me to answer a phone. There is, especially during earnings season. I mean, there's so much news breaking, different stocks. There's huge opportunities. The return is much higher because there's, no spreads. We see what wild overshoots can happen. Now, the risk is much higher too. So what I would say is if you're new to after hours trading, you want to reduce your size if you want to start trading in it because you're not going to be jumping in things for 10 or 20 cents, usually jumping in things, especially in earning stocks for dollars. So that's the consideration is that stuff really moves pre-market after hours. The biggest moves happen pre-market and after hours, and especially after hours on an earnings event. After, the dust settles, you really are when the stock opens at 9:30 the next day and reported earnings at 4 o'clock last night. you're kind of, trading it. It's already kind of stabilized from that point in time. I mean, you look at a ULTA now, which reported last night, it's becoming a lot more stable. Now, yes, there's going to be more players, and yes, the volatility is still going to be picked up, but it's going to be nothing compared to the actual earnings event where you saw ULTA go down to $222 last night. So there's opportunities in there if you get on the right side of it. If you're on the wrong side, though, you can lose a lot of money in a hurry. And I will tell you every single night, I have some winners and I have some losers. There's gonna be losers. And if you're new to pre-market after hours trading, it's not about how much you're making on your winners. It's all about how much you're not losing on your losers, meaning trying to limit the damage of the trades that you're going to be wrong in. And you will be wrong. No trader can be right 100% of the time. I would imagine my batting average, I feel like it's pretty good. I've never actually figured out to calculate it, but let's say, conservatively, maybe I'm batting 55. So on those 45% of trades I'm losing on, I've got to figure out how to limit those losses as much as I can. That applies to all trading, intraday trading as well, but especially applies to after hours. And you've got to figure out how to work those orders and get out of those things, because it is an art to try to work in order after hours, especially in a stock that has no bids. That is an art to try to get out of something like that.
Great point here coming up from Spice. And let's just do a quick hypothetical here with ULTA, because that's the one thing you did not mention. If you have an options position, let's say in ULTA, where did we close at? 244, right? 244.41. Maybe you paid up for the 240 put, right?
Do you have the options platform open right now? Do we know what 240 put was going for?
I'll pull it up. Go ahead.
Pull it up. We might as well do here. We've got some time here. We might as well take you right through this, and we're going to show you the benefits to after hours trading here, especially if you've got options. People say, "What are you talking about? Options market isn't open." It's that what I've said before: trading the stock against your options to lock in these excessive price moves. So if you had puts on ULTA at 240, you're now making no money. If you held these overnight and you're looking at it getting out on the open, you're making nothing. But if you were able to trade it after hours against and buy the stock against those puts last night,
short,
you're going to be making some money. Yeah, it's a net short position, your puts. Let's say you have one. Let's say there's a one contract. Do you have what? Did you open it up yet, Joe?
I am. It's just I got a lot of things running here. It's been one more second.
I could probably go grab it quickly too.
I got it. I'm signing.
The 240 puts expiring this week. Do they have weeklies on those?
I'm sure
it works better with the weeklies as the example, but I'm not sure they have weeklies out there. Maybe they do. They have weeklies on a lot of stuff now. So I'm trying to bring it up here too. So 240, I'm pretty fast too. 240 puts, we're going for off the board.
Well, I'll guess $5.
240 puts. Looks like that was expensive. Looks like it was closed at 660 and it closed with a bid 610 to 890. So let's say $7. Let's say you paid $7 for those 240 puts.
$4 out of money.
So you paid $7 for those 240 puts, which are $4 out of the money. It's pretty expensive to pay that. Let's just say you did it though. So I'm not telling you to do this. I hate buying options, so I wouldn't be doing this. But if you did, and if you did buy those options, right now those options are worthless because the stock's at 242 and you're not gonna make any money. But last night you had $7 puts. You could have bought the stock for 225, just thrown your bid out there at 225, locked in 15 points. So now, in a worst case scenario, it keeps going down on you. It's 210, 205. Well, you got 240 puts. So you just locked in 15 points. But in this scenario, it's even better because you're actually now at 242. So you bought the stock at 225 against your 240 puts. So now you can actually sell the stock in the pre-market at 242 right now. Easily 242 is 242.50 trading and lock in 17 and a half points. Just doing the quick math, 15, 17 and a half. So you're making more. Right. Now your 240 puts are active again, because you just locked it in. So you're basically, if the stock tanks here from this point in time, you could play it out again. So right now you've locked in 17 and a half point gainer. So you're never going to lose because you paid $7. So you're up 10 points, but you have the 240 puts active until the close. So maybe, it goes for a tank job again, or it just tanks on you at 235. Now I can rebuy the stock at 235. So if that happens, if it keeps continuing to rally, which it looks like it's going to here, that's just it. But all I'm trying to say is if you are putting out premium there for options and not trading the stock after hours, you're leaving so much potential money on the table, because in this case those options are worthless. But last night they had a much value. Where did it get down to last night, Joel?
ULTA got down to, in the 220 handle, got down to 222.80.
Okay, you're never going to buy the low on the pre.
Right.
pre-market after hours, but 225 is a pretty safe bet. You probably could have easily got it there if you had to order it there. Spinner making a great point. You need the money to do it though, and this is the problem. A lot of people are trading options with 10,000 bucks in their account, and they buy, a put on this thing for 7 points, and they pay 700 bucks for it. Well, they don't have the $24,000 to be able to, or $22,500 to be able to buy the stock. I'm going to say get a bigger account or get a, you got to figure out a ways to do it. But hopefully, if you do have that kind of money, first, if you're just playing for fun, you have $5,000 trying to learn options, I guess this can't apply to you. But if you have a bigger account, you're leaving so much money on the table, especially prop traders listening out there that have access to the options market as well. I mean, there's so much money to access by playing the stock against your options. So basically just saying, these puts, use them what they're used for. People are just saying, oh, I buy the put and sell the put. No, use it what it's used for. You can put the stock there. So I mean, I'm net short the stock at least until Friday night, and I can buy the stock safely against it, knowing that I have the 240 put. So, and it's still a call. I mean, you might hate me in the case where, okay, well, 240 put, you've got 240 put, I buy a 225 and think it goes to 210. And now I just left 30 points on the table. Well, it's still a trade.
Scenario.
There's still stuff. There's scenarios. So there's scenarios where it might work out better for you. But I see it so often where it seems like these things overshoot and they can come back in. And a lot of times they come back in. Why do they come back in? Or why do they come back into where the Sigma event is? Because maybe the open interest is just high enough to drive that back up, because you have those natural buyers who are doing the strategy I just spelled out for you in the last 5 minutes, that is going to bring it back up. So maybe to where, it was 237 or 238. In this case, it's come all the way back, which isn't always the case. But a lot of times you'll see the thing overshoot, and then it'll come back to where the option pricing had it priced. So, and that's just a natural pricing action. We'll bring that back in as put owners buy the stock against their puts, because market makers will be using the strategy all the time.
All right, real quick for someone new in the Google chat, Galvin's asking about AMD here. And I'm just, he's in it for the long term. So you got to try kind of tune out the noise in this one. But for me, I'd like to see it get above that closing high. The closing high of the move has been 25.26. I would like to see that improve on that over the next couple of days to improve the run up. The high of the move is way up at 27.30. If I was long this long term, I'd really be keeping an eye on $24. Your low on Wednesday, 24.04. Your low on Thursday, 24.01. So perhaps a little bit of consolidation, AMD. Spencer is going to Sleepy Bear Dunes on this weekend. If you've never been there.
What is that?
You've never been to Sleepy Bear Dunes?
I'm going.
Where is that?
It's in
what is
Northern Michigan. I'm going to party with Kid Rock in Northern Michigan this weekend.
You're like a celebrity.
I'm not actually
awesome.
It is. I'm telling you, Dennis, you got to get up there. When you're at Sleepy Bear Dunes in Michigan, you literally think you're in the Sahara Desert.
Where? So Northern Michigan. Where in Northern Michigan? In the UP?
It's up. No, it's not in the UP. I'm putting my hand up. It's up here.
All the Michigan people do this. This is how you tell. So you have to explain this, because this is something you actually see in Windsor, Ontario all the time too. When you talk to somebody from Michigan, they'll put their hand up and they'll show where they are, because your hand looks like Michigan. So explain this and show us how you do it.
And I just did it. It's the mitten. I mean, anybody that looks in a map, it looks like a mitten. So it's very easy to point out. And it's up. It's not in the UP, but it's right up on the west coast of Michigan as you're driving up towards the Mackinac Bridge. And it's absolutely gorgeous, Spencer. And you can hike up the dunes and then look over the bluff, and you're looking over the lake. It's just absolutely so. I'm going to apologize for the technical difficulties on Tuesday already here. But
there won't be any. There won't be any. It'll be fine.
Spencer's being
we're going to get a smooth show.
It'll be
Joel's
fine.
running it.
It'll be fine.
So, okay,
Spencer. But I hope everyone has a nice, long, enjoyable Labor Day weekend. Those of you going somewhere, great. Those of you not, that's great too. Just enjoy the day off on a Monday. We'll be back with you on Tuesday, or at least these guys will. If you want to catch the podcast of our show, you can do so. iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Play, or youtube.com/Benzinga TV to rewatch the show as it aired. Thanks to everyone in our chat rooms on YouTube and premarket.benzinga.com. Hope you all have had a good morning so far. Reminder that all the information from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. Have a good weekend, folks, and I'll see you Wednesday, but Joel and Dennis will be back with you on Tuesday. I'll say hi to Kitty Rock for you.